Alright, Scobie, so now that it's 2025, do you think maybe we should finish that video we've been working on since 2023?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think it's time. Hey friends, it's been a while, and there's so much to catch you up on.
Over those past 2 years we've been gone, we are happy to report that we've been doing really well. The cats are thriving, we got married, we've been to Alaska and back like so many more times. I don't even know how many more times. And one of the most exciting things is that we got a new rig, and since then we've been living in it full time and traveling.
So clearly we have so many stories to share with you. And from here on out, we want to be better and more consistent with sharing our travel.
But in order to do that, I think first we need to rewind back to when you last saw us, to tell you the story of how we did end up going to Alaska that summer, and how we ended up with our awesome new rig.
She's right there.
Should we give them a sneak peek?
Oh yeah.
When you saw us last, we were exploring the stunning landscapes of Sedona and Flagstaff. In Dusty, our Scamp trailer. We'd just finished an adventure following the Colorado River north for 160 miles, across Arizona and Nevada. As we soaked in the beauty of the Southwest, we also began planning our summer return to Alaska for work. But little did we know, our time in Flagstaff would mark the end of an era. While planning for our journey north, we inevitably found ourselves reflecting on the previous year's trip.
Here she is.
And despite some setbacks, that trip was incredible. It was equal parts awe-inspiring and traumatizing. But looking back, that was when the seeds of doubt that Dusty was still the right rig for us were planted. Driving to Alaska was actually supposed to be the last thing we did during our time on the road. That's how we came up with the name Oasis and Glacier anyway, since we started our journey in the desert and planned to end it with a trip up to Alaska. But by the end of our first year on the road, we'd already achieved all the goals we set for ourselves and weren't ready to stop traveling anytime soon. So now it was time to dream bigger. As we began preparing the Scamp for another trek north, we couldn't ignore the signs anymore. Many of the repairs we'd made since our first Alaska trip just hadn't held up, and it was becoming clear that attempting another long journey in the Scamp wasn't just ambitious, it was unrealistic and also probably unsafe. Somewhere along the way, the camper that had at first granted us all the freedom in the world slowly started taking it away, until we could no longer deny that the Scamp wasn't working for us anymore. Still coming to terms with this harsh reality, we packed our bags and left our camper, car, and cats with my mom. We were flying to Alaska this time, uncertain of how long we'd be there or what exactly our plan was when we returned, but our hope was that this time and space away from Dusty would allow us to reflect a bit and decide what's next. Initially, it felt strange to be back so quickly and effortlessly. Almost like our easy way here hadn't earned us the privilege of accessing this wild and magical place. But soon after arriving, we settled back into another summer exploring the beautiful and diverse landscapes of Eyak. We would spend the better part of our summer here and experience some of the most beautiful and pristine nature we'd ever seen. Like these salmon, who were back from their seafaring stint, They'd return to their ancestral waters in order to begin their species' life cycle once more. The amount of salmon we observed here was far less than in years past. In these climate-changing times, salmon runs are becoming more and more sparse. Hiking farther upstream, we followed the salmon's path out of the ocean and up the river. Witnessing the liminal space in which the transformation brought on by declining salinity occurs. Ascending a steep spruce-lined trail, we encountered an ever-changing terrain. Abiyak Lake with its turquoise veins of glacial water, and dense rainforest. Eventually giving way to patches of muskeg and meadow. Atop the trail, Crater Lake waited for us, with a backdrop of fog shrouding our view of the sound. We spent most of our time that we weren't working exploring the Copper River Delta. Out here are many points of interest cherished by the community. Like someone's secret Nagoon berry patch, or a glacial blue swimming hole where friends gather on warm days. These places hold not only recreational value, but also a deep cultural significance for the first people of this land. Over a decade ago, the bridge along this road succumbed to the strength of an immense storm, cutting off access to much of the river delta and its glaciers. However, many residents actually prefer the absence of this bridge, in order to preserve the remoteness of their town and safeguard the sacred and beautiful Copper River Delta. Lucky for us, there is still one glacier you can reach by road. Or rather, by kayak. Kayaking amidst these icy behemoths, we noted the nuances with a sense of urgency. The ice had changed drastically since we were here last summer, and even more so since Scobie first laid eyes on this glacier in 2019, when you could still walk out onto it from the trail. Now, an ever-widening watery gap has made this impossible, severing a connection once walked with ease.
Yeah, it's really nice to be here. Look how beautiful.
Navigating the frozen expanse, we experienced the delicate equilibrium of the terrain, reminding us to treasure each fleeting moment spent here. We were headed to camp on a small island, located where the Copper River Delta meets the Gulf of Alaska. The river carries roughly 75 million tons of glacial silt into the sea each year, which creates sandbars or barrier islands, whose perimeters are at the mercy of the ever-changing tides. While beachcombing, we found dozens of treasures stuck in the dark sand, and patches of wild strawberries blanketing the shore. We also lived the ultimate stereotype, by finding a message in a bottle washed up on the beach.
First time Alaskan only sea.
Back at camp, we spent the rest of the evening enjoying the midnight sun. When we got back to the mainland, we spent our last few days in town staying on a boat in the harbor. Since we didn't have our own rig this time, we stayed in a variety of places. But our brief stint of boat life was one we particularly enjoyed. Our time in Eyak was coming to a bittersweet end. We were sad to leave a place we love, but also excited to travel to a new-to-us part of Alaska on a little side quest. You see, we got a job in a small village helping the folks at the tribal office with some IT stuff. But to get there, we first needed to travel to Bethel, Alaska, to catch a bush plane to our final destination. As we flew, we got an incredible view of the tundra while descending into the village. We weren't here for very long, but in between the long working hours, we spent our time exploring the village on foot, getting to know the local people and culture. Oh, and the village dogs, of course. We also participated in a really special cultural practice with some of our new friends here. But that's a story we'll save for some other time. With our side quests complete, it was time to head back to California and start to figure out what's next. Over our summer in Alaska, we'd been casually researching and discussing options for a new rig. But now, it was time to get serious, and fully dive into the process of finding our new home on wheels. After a ton of research, we decided on a truck camper, to preserve some of the modularity we got from our old tow-behind, but in a more compact and off-road capable form factor. After looking into several brands, we found four-wheel campers, who stood out for their lightweight and well-designed campers at comparatively reasonable prices.
This is where we would sleep. It'll fit two 2.5 gallon propane tanks, and also it has 20 gallons of fresh water. Not
Okay.
too bad. That's comparable kind of with everyone else that we've been seeing.
And it seems like it pops up higher than a lot of them, which is important for you.
Yeah, no, we need to
And
have
me,
that
but
pop-up
you.
space because I'm over 6 feet. I'm interested in purchasing a four-wheel camper, specifically the flatbed model. And right now, I don't have a vehicle. I know that if I purchase a truck, I would need to convert it to flatbed so that I can have that specific model that I'm interested in. Is that a service that you are able to provide?
We called with some general questions and to see about coming to look at the campers in person, just to be sure of our choice. But instead, they ended up inviting us to an owner's rally, happening close by the following weekend.
Well, it's going to be so much fun. I know everyone will be excited to show off their rigs too, huh? Thank you so much for calling me back, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week.
Dude, they're all so nice.
Yeah, I know, they are so nice.
Usually it takes like 3 months to get a new camper.
Yeah.
And usually we would have had to drive out during the week, which kind of doesn't work for us because of our jobs. So it kind of feels like
Everything's
lining up.
aligning itself
So do you think
perfectly
it's meant
for
to
Del
be?
Ska. I think so.
Nice.
After meeting some wonderful people who were so kind as to let us check out their rigs and answer all of our questions, we were pretty much sold. In the weeks that followed, we began the job of finding a truck with the specs we needed.
I have to press share to share. I went and I tested this out.
Once we had the truck, we ordered our camper.
Well, thank you, Brenda. I really appreciate everything you've been able to do to help us, telling us to go out to the rally. We're so excited. I hope you have a wonderful holiday.
Thank you, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So now, all there was left to do was wait. Between October and December, Scobie and I were in the field for work a lot. Traveling the coast of Alaska from southeast all the way to Kodiak Island. A perfect way to pass the time if you ask us. It's like reinforced so it doesn't fall over.
Yeah.
It is giant. How tall do you think it is?
10 foot.
It's 10 foot. It's beautiful. On our way home from one of these work trips, we passed through Juneau around the time of our 5-year anniversary and my birthday. So we stayed for a few extra days to celebrate. This was extra special for us because it was our first real chance to spend some time in Southeast Alaska, which is where Scobie's mom's side of the family is from. We didn't know it at the time, but this trip would be the catalyst for us spending nearly 3 months exploring the islands of Southeast Alaska the following summer. But more on that in a future video. One thing we noticed right away and absolutely love about Juneau is just how much native art and representation there is around town. Look, there it is. You can't really see it, but it's there.
It's there, yeah.
We're fine. I'm filming you.
This is wild. This is so crazy. This is a first for us. We've driven the Scamp and snow, yeah, but not this much. And not this thick. Whoa, look at how much just fell.
Probably have cleared off our windshield a little bit. Wow, this is cool.
It's really cool.
The snow is really beautiful. I guess I can see how it gets old, but I kind of like it.
Corn.
When we returned to California, we spent the holidays with family while the camper and tray were finishing being built.
If you like it, I wrapped it. If you didn't,
Thank you all. You like it, Margie?
And before we knew it, the time had come to head north to drop off the truck at the 4-wheel camper shop to get everything installed.
Last of our stuff. On to the next adventure.
As soon as we got her, we headed out to visit some of our favorite places in Eastern California to get to know our new home. We've had our new camper now for over a year and spent about half of that time living out of it in Alaska. With both of us working remote 9-to-5s now, having a reliable and comfortable rig has made living and working on the road so much easier. Knowing our rig is dependable has lifted a huge weight off our shoulders, allowing us to fully embrace our travels and be more present in the moment. Our time in the Scamp changed our lives, and we'll always be grateful for the adventures it took us on. The breakdowns, the endless repairs, the bare bones build out.
When I take the Goal Zero to charge in the car, he's not going to be able to really charge his stuff.
It wasn't always easy, but every challenge shaped us. We learned resiliency, adaptability, and just how much we're capable of.
All right, Della's second time driving the trailer.
This is my first time actually driving it, not just like doing circles in a parking lot. WD-40.
This chapter was one of growth, of pushing limits,
You ready?
and of unforgettable memories.
Alaska!
And while we'll always cherish it, we're really enjoying this new chapter.